Wherever it is you joining us from around the world, you're welcome to Enterprise Weekend on Enterprise Television. I am Henry Igwebike. We're about to head to our newspaper reviews segment for this morning, and just after that, we'll have our conversation also for today. But please, we will then join you to please subscribe to our YouTube channel at Enterprise TV7 and do visit our website daily at www.enterprisetvnews.com. Our guests for this segment are Barrister Jimmy Abia and Cyril Abaku. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
And welcome. Most importantly, we're having a new set. What do you say about it, Cyril?
A very beautiful one.
Beautiful set.
A very beautiful one.
Yeah.
Kudos to Enterprise
Yes.
TV.
Yes.
Yeah. I dare say it's the channel's way of saying we're here to compete with just anyone.
Yes.
Yes, so
very good transition, if you ask me.
Yes.
Yes. We're so excited and so delighted to be having this. Well, let's get into the busy aspect of our conversation today. And we're starting off with our newspaper segments. But interestingly, we have a sensitive story, and that's about the abduction of a Catholic priest, and we have it authoritatively that Micah Suleiman, the abducted parish priest of St. Raymond Catholic Church in Damba, Gusau, Zamfara State, has pleaded for help to regain his freedom. In a 51 seconds video clip trending on social media, Suleiman, dressed in a blue t-shirt with boxer shorts, is seen sitting on the ground while calling for help. He said, and I quote, "I am pleading for help to be freed from this place. The bandits told me that they don't keep people here for long. People don't stay for up to a week," he said. He also added, "They told me that killing a person is not difficult for them. They said they are just helping me by keeping me. Please, I am asking for help." End of quote. Gentlemen, isn't this disturbing? Isn't this very disturbing?
Very disturbing, if you ask me. This is a reverend gentleman who was not abducted on the road, or he was abducted in the church at the rectory, and then they took him away. These people here said that they won't even, as much as that they don't keep people for up to a week, that killing him won't be the most difficult thing for them to do. And he has made a video clip and is asking for help. Now, what we heard was that the police in Zamfara State has sent a tactical team to go and rescue him. Right now, we're not after rescue or not. What we want is just for the man to come back. We can deal with the semantics of was he rescued or will he be released if at all he comes back alive. What we need is for this man to come out safe. In 2022 alone, I think one source said that nearly 39 priests, like that, were abducted, and the Catholic Church in the north has particularly come under this sort of, will I call it pressure or attacks. Reverend fathers in Sokoto, in Zamfara, Kebbi, and all these places, even in Kaduna, have been made easy fare for kidnappers who just go in and take them away. We can't also forget too soon the massacre at Madala, the Catholic Church in Madala. Clearly, the church is under attack. Clearly, Catholic people Christendom generally is under attack, and it will take more than assurance by government to curb it. It must take determined effort, sincerity. Police saying that I don't remember the last time police used any tactical rescue team to rescue anybody. Even in Lagos, when the Fulani brothers were kidnapped, you remember that the family said police should stay off out of the matter. They paid. The people who are rescued and dropped in Ekpe, police said that they've rescued them. You rescue, which means that there was a gunfight, but there were no bodies, there was no casualty, there was not say you rescued them. Usually rescue or release, I really don't care. Can this man come back safe back to his parishioners? Can he come back safe alive? Can have him back? And then later on, you can now go back and do any tactical thing you want to do. But for now, the priority is for the reverend gentleman to come back and come out alive.
Now, for him to come back alive, of course, what the bandits are requesting for, ransom. We know the Catholic Church, they don't do ransom. They don't rule ransom. Any Catholic priest is a man who has given himself to the church and to the service of humanity. He is not of himself. He belongs to the church. Now, how do you think it's possible to gain his freedom, knowing that the body he belongs to is not in sympathical with giving out ransom?
It's a sad, another sad reminder that it's the failure of the state that this kind of thing happens, that people get abducted, get kidnapped, and then, ransom is demanded. What I expect is that, because the truth is, just like Cyril mentioned, it will be almost impossible for the police, because from, going by what we already know about the modus operandi of some of these, kidnappers, and also the modus operandi of the police, for a while now. So it will be almost impossible to say that the police will go in, get this person out. I don't know what the police wants to do in that, but I expect that even if it's maybe not the church, I don't know the kind of family he comes from, that there may be an interface, to try to get him out. Because the truth is, we would want the state to be able, and when we talk about the state, we talk about the government, we want the state to be able to perform their responsibilities and get this person out. But from what we've seen over the time, is that it has been in very rare or none of the cases has the state been able to go in, use intelligence and force, if need be, to get these people kidnapped in such circumstances, get them out. So it's rare for you to see that kind of thing happening anymore in Nigeria. So there must be concerted effort, by the state to do something about this. But beyond that, I think the most important thing is to, by all persons, connected to him, whether it is the church, whether it is the family, or, to put hands together and see how this man comes out, because he has not done anything. He's not the government that, people who do these things claim that the reason why they go into kidnapping, abductions, and also some of these things is because the government has failed them. The government has not given them jobs and all that we hear. But this man is not the one to create jobs for you. So you are going for those people who have not done anything, who are the same people who are so facing the government inadequacies. So it's just unfortunate that we have to hear this over and over again, this kind of thing over and over again in this country.
Yes, very true. Very, very so unfortunate. And we pray for the safe release of Reverend Father Suleiman to his parishioners and, of course, to the Christendom in its entirety in Nigeria. But quickly, let's move on to our next daily. It's coming from the Nation newspaper. The big story here says minimum wage. Governors can't dictate what to pay, says NLC. And on the top strip of the same newspaper, Tinubu signs executive order to slash pharmaceutical prices. And on the bottom strip of the same newspaper, Nigeria will overcome current economic challenges. And that's coming from Goodluck Jonathan, the former president of Nigeria. But let's get into a very interesting story here. Tinubu signs executive order to slash pharmaceutical prices. Gentlemen, please make me understand this. Nigerian leaders keep coming up with varieties of leadership style. Where have you ever seen a leader, give a dictate to have pharmaceutical prices slashed? Is it possible economically?
I wish I could tell you. Because earlier this morning I saw the headline and I was wondering whether he's putting subsidies on drugs, or which means why didn't you then prevent Sanofi, GlaxoSmithKline, and the others are left from living? Yeah. It's a simple thing we could have done. We know why there's been a 600%, some cases even maybe up to 1,000% hike in the cost of drugs. Because normally by comparative advantage, if you produce locally, prices will be cheaper where you're producing. As I speak to you today, we're buying biscuit 100 naira and so on. In the locales where the biscuit is being produced around Agbara, they are still sold for less.
For less?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
The biscuit you buy in mainland Lagos and other parts of the country for 100 naira, 200 naira. In locales where they're produced, on this Lagos-Benin Expressway, they are purchased for less. Because what is cost? There's no cost of transport. So those who buy can sell for less. So you had all these people doing business in Nigeria, and they gave notice that they were going to leave. What did you do about it? Nothing. We started seeing Chinese people and some Nigerian traditional companies to produce drugs. Then all of a sudden, the president and executive, you cannot please investors to sell things at given rates, except when we're seeing the story.
Exactly.
I, for one, I would think that interventions are only necessary where interventions had not been put in place. What do I mean? Where everything is working, because interventionism, right, is an ideology, and it speaks to something. It means that all fingers won't be equal in that scenario. Given so what do? Government steps in to equalize, redistribute, whatever it is you want to call it. That's interventionism. Okay, progressivism is a kind of interventionism. But in this case, where we have brought in policies, it's like 6.5 a dozen. But we know that even in 6.5 a dozen, it's possible that some are bigger than others. So why exactly are we now bringing in an executive order to reduce the cost of drugs? The question is, what are we giving to the drug makers in return? Something is being given. Something must be given. So if you're giving a rebate, look at the real thing we should have done. Why they really left was the floating of the naira. That's why the naira sink even further after it was floated. Okay, because the cost of production went up, price of diesel went up, everything goes up when the dollar is up in Nigeria. So people saw and decided, okay, we can't do business and we can't do business anymore here. We are going. We didn't do what we could have done to keep them here. It is we now to sign an executive order. I can tell you, you said different people bring different styles. I can assure, even the president cannot sustain this order that you signed.
Now, talking about the president, yes.
You see that they will reverse themselves.
Yeah, talking about the president not sustaining this particular order, the rider here actually says zero tariff, exercise duties, VAT on imported products. Now, he is particularly stressing these on imported products. We're not even talking about domestic market here.
Yeah, but these are not new. You see, one thing that this government does, which is, because they play on the ignorance of a large number of Nigerians, they kind of, bring out things that have already existed and say they did this, things that, it's just like the Third Mainland Bridge, which they flashed open. I mean, this is a road that has existed, that was built by the military. And suddenly this road has been resurfaced several times, and there was no commissioning, no big fanfare, and suddenly they resurfaced the road, and then there was fanfare and the pictures of the president on the entire entire road. So that's what they do. I mean, there's no VAT as of today, and it's not new. There's no VAT on pharmaceutical products. So I don't know what they're talking about. There's no import duties on pharmaceutical products. So it's not new. It's not new. The problem with the problem we're having today is that the cost of fuel, the cost of transport, of course, which will affect the cost of diesel, the cost of transportation, of logistics, and then the exchange rate. That is the problem. That's where the problem is. Do you understand? So we're reenacting or coming up with the same things that have already existed. The same VAT issues that have not. I mean, VAT has never existed on pharmaceutical right from the day one of making the VAT, when the VAT laws came into place. So I do not understand what the government is actually. So somebody sees this and says, "Oh, you'll be expecting that in the next few days, in the next few months, that pharmaceutical products, the cost of or prices of pharmaceutical products would slash." But after praising the government, after the first month, second month, third month, you see that everything is still at the same point. It's just like what Lagos State government, said. They said they were going to set up centers where people come and get
buy food.
Yeah. Then they did it 1 week, second week, people were praising them. And nobody hears about those things. Again, yeah. and there were just very few or minute number who profited from that.
Less than 0.1%.
So what this government does at every level is simply to play on the intelligence of Nigerians. They assume that Nigerians have short memory. And the truth is, truly, Nigerians have short memories, because if Nigerians were to keep records of these things, to be involved and informed, Nigerians won't take this kind of thing. It's just the government comes, tries to say, it's just, okay, they said the other time that there was 500 billion, which they have brought out as palliative or something. Where did that money go? How did they use the money? I mean, it's been months now. Nobody's asking any questions anymore. Nobody's asking any questions. They were talking about cost savings from the fuel subsidy. that once they stop paying this subsidy, once the fuel prices increase, that people are going to, there will be input in medicals, in transportation. They were talking about gas-powered vehicles and all those, highfalutin things, big things. And people praise them. And the funny thing is, some people come on media and praise the government when they announce these things, and that's actually what the government wants to achieve with those things. Praise the government. Then 1 month after, 2 months after, 3 months after, you see that there was nothing, absolutely nothing on ground. It's just highfalutin promises that do not actually yield anything at the end of the day. That's what we have here,
unfortunately. And the question is, to what ends, if you ask me? But quickly, let's move on to our last daily for today. It's coming from the Daily Trust newspaper, and the big story here says questions over Tinubu's floor of budget. And the writer here says running multiple appropriation laws abnormal, and that's coming from budget. And it's first in history. CSO's Tinubu responding to IMF dictates, and that's coming from Falana. And on the bottom strip of the same newspaper, we have how POS operators render banks ATMs redundant. Gentlemen, this boils out to the private sector also. We just finished talking about the government and its involvement and all, but this we're talking about private investors who have stake in the economy. In other crimes, the ATM is just there to do what it is supposed to do. In Nigeria, it is a different case. The POS are all over the place, and the question is, do you think it's still economically right to have POS, point of service operators, gradually replacing our ATMs, such that banks don't even want to, insert money any longer in ATMs because POS are doing the work? Let me start with you, Barrister.
It's some of those things that we talk about, government abdication of responsibilities. Now, the CBN has a duty to regulate the banks, to regulate, the financial sector, especially, as it relates to the bank. But you will find out that they have sort of abdicated this responsibility and allow banks to do whatever they will. And what has happened is that there are so many. Okay, we're talking about cashless economy. But what you now have is that it's just, I don't know how to put it. It's not, we're not running a cashless economy, really. It's just that the cash is no longer given to you at the bank. So you get the cash from the POS operators. The cash is not given to you at the bank. You get it from the POS operators.
And the POS operators get from the bank.
We'll still get from the bank. That's the thing. So the bank makes money from the POS operators. The POS operators end up making money from you. So that's just what we are running. And it's like we're not really telling ourselves the truth. What do we actually want to have? What do we want to run? Do we really want to run a cashless economy, or a situation where everybody carries cash in the name of POS operator?
Now, the proliferation of POS, could that be defined as creating jobs? Would you see that as creating jobs? Remember, the Corporate Affairs Commission are asking the POS people to come register their businesses. So can we should we say this creating of jobs?
Let them breathe. They should leave. So then they start paying taxes.
Yes, exactly.
And then they begin to pay it out one after the other. Now, this is my own concern. Maybe you say if you're operating up to 3 or 4, 5, or maybe say 6 or 7 or 10 POS machines, then maybe you can go and register. But I think that it's a way of maybe creating jobs. But to what Barrister Abia was saying earlier, when you do a transaction, the bank takes its own little tax from it. Levy, whatever they call it. On top of that, you pay ATM card maintenance fees from time to time. Then later on, the POS will also deduct from the money. So we've created multiple layers of taxes that people don't even consider.
Exactly.
So that's what we've done. But in the manner of speaking, because of the way we have the what's it called, the POS machines everywhere now, maybe people are now having jobs. Sometimes you could go to a barber shop, there's a POS machine there. Exactly. You go to a fashion carpentry, they have
groceries and all.
So everybody has that by the side. I don't see anything wrong with that. But for the ATM machines, can we repurpose them?
To what?
Let's vote at the ATM machines. let's vote there. We can be voting there. We've said it time and again that if voting is a positive, you see, there's something about our country that we don't, because we don't mean well for ourselves. I'm sorry to put it this way. We don't do well also. We can vote there. There's nothing wrong with it. I've said it before. These machines are look, a man would rather keep his money than go and vote. I hope we know. Yet he can allow all his monies to be on what he just looks at like a card that he could misplace anytime, and he can go to any machine, slot in his card, and make and remove any money he wants to remove. So if he can do that even with his own money, why can't he vote? We can propose them. Our government is just not very serious. People in Obasanjo, Lagos, and Abuja can vote at ATM machine. It makes like this for everybody. Then we can plan to put them in many more places. Because of course, these ATM POS machines have greater penetration.
Yeah, exactly.
Even to rural areas. We can even adopt that one as voting pattern. There's nothing wrong with it. But and don't think that these thoughts are not with them. It is because they know that if they did it, if they move too fast, it could upturn their own political capital. Otherwise, this is the way to go. We can propose them. Nothing says we cannot.
Very true. I think I am loving that submission. It's a new light, if you ask me. But that's just about the time we have. We have much more interesting stories here. But for the want of time, we'll have to just keep it at that. Of course, we'll have to say thank you to Barrister Jim Abia for being part of our show. Cyril Abia, thank you. And just to let you know, both gentlemen, if possible, will be here to take us on our main conversation for today. But when we return, Festus Keyamo, Minister of Aviation and Aerospace in Nigeria, accuses private jet operators of drug trafficking and money laundering. We'll be right back in the GV Place. Don't go anywhere.